In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all, standing tall. Fear outweighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Hello there and welcome to the latest Elite FPL podcast. You are joined by myself, Steve-O, Jason as ever. Dad isn't here tonight due to the fact that he's at the cinema watching the new Avengers film, but that doesn't matter because we have a special guest. You may not recognise him, but you may recognise the Twitter handle. It's Block FPL. He's 15th in the overall ranking. Hello, Block, all the way from sunny South Carolina.
Hello, it's nice to be on. Thank you.
Welcome, Block. Welcome. Nice to be here, man.
Thank you so much for joining us. So as ever, this is the Elite FPL podcast preview show, and the majority of you will probably be wondering what I'm predicting because I'm the only one that seems to get every single game correct, so to speak. But in all seriousness, we have Block here as a special guest, and I think the majority of this will be almost like a mini interview process with Block, basically finding out how on earth he's coping with the stress being 15th in the overall ranking, and the fact that he was in game week, where were you? Game week 30, second place overall rankings. We'll find out all that in a minute. So everybody in chat, if you have any questions that you want to ask Block, by all means, Jason will be able to monitor the chat and we can get through with that. We'll obviously be going through our team selections, potential transfers we could be doing, and that all-important captaincy this game week. Mane.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jason.
Okay.
You know, we've got this special guest on. Have you got an immediate question to ask Block straight from the off?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward question. You're probably going to be asked it a lot of times by other people. But what got you into Fantasy Premier League? And obviously coming from the United States, you know, I know that soccer, as you call it, is growing over there. What interested you in joining in joining Fantasy Premier League?
Well, originally my brother did, because it was game week 2, my first week, 2013, 14, something like that. And so we just sort of made teams. I remember I got Demba Ba, who scored, and ever since then it's just been fun. This is my first season actually. Before the first game week, I watched FPL YouTubers and stuff, and I took it more seriously, to actually go for the overall rank. Whereas in the past, I was, just going for that my family league head to head and just taking a different strategy. I would just target the games against my brother because he was always the best. So yeah, it's been a great season. But FPL has been really fun for me, and it's been interesting because I didn't expect to be where I'm at right now. So
Are you feeling the pressure being so high in the overall rankings? Do you feel like you are overthinking, maybe thinking a lot more than what you would normally do? I know it sounds like a stupid question, but do you find yourself overanalyzing things?
I would have to say, I mean, I probably do analyze it more than I did previously, like earlier weeks in the season. I'm not sure. I don't think it's too big of an issue. Like, I don't even look at I don't have a certain webpage I go to look at stats and stuff. I typically do the same thing. I watch the games. I want, like, if there's a player I'm interested in, I watch the game, and then if I want to look at another player, I watch the highlights to see like how many shots they had and stuff. I don't like go out of my way to look at like expected goals or anything like that though. But yeah, the pressure is real. I mean, when I was second, it's just like I'm glad there's so much time to think about it. Like, obviously, there's like a couple of days. If I just had to like do it in 15 minutes, then it would really be a major negative impact.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I've been looking overall at your season. You've started really, really well, but the one point which I think stands out for me was basically in game week 9. So we're going all the way back to there, where you went from 28,000 to 8,000 in the world. Then it started picking up. So in game week 10, you went from 8,000 to 2,000. Game week 12, 2,000 to 400. Game week 14, 300 to like 70th. Game week 19. This is when you started just completely crashing in on the top 10, basically, when you went from 90th to 13th. And ever since then, since game week 19, you've been in the top 20 ever since. What on earth do you put this down to? Because I just can't fathom such high jumping in ranks.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. The high jumping really, like, it caught me off guard until game week like 2021. I didn't even consider. I'm like, oh wait, I actually, could actually have a chance to like finish top 3, and all of a sudden, that's when I started feeling the pressure. But a lot of it's just down to, I don't want to say just getting lucky, but that's pretty much what it is. You just have to. I mean, the whole game is based around maximizing your chances of getting lucky. It's probably. It's my game. The 20th minute, and then you're done. But I hit Sunstreak. I got him. He got 1 point the first week for me. Then he went on that whole run where he got 21 points and that whole stretch. And then I got rid of him when he went to Asia. And like they're also just like little things that, okay, like everybody didn't captain Aguero one of those first weeks because they heard he was going to be rotated. Well, there's a time difference obviously because I live in America, so. By the time I woke up, the game week had already started. I didn't get the chance to see any of that news. If I would have saw that news, I might have changed my captain to somebody else. But, I just sort of got lucky and ended up captaining Aguero. But, yeah, it's been crazy right now. I see people in the chat asking me who my captain's going to be. It's probably going to be Salah. It's pretty straightforward.
Never mind. There we go. I'm not muted anymore. I do that when I type. There wouldn't be a stream. There wouldn't be an Elite FPL stream if I don't mute myself at least once during the stream. So, what I was saying, guys, is welcoming to the show tonight, Block FPL, who's joining us. He's been up as high as 2nd in the world. Who knows? He may even win it. It's great to have him on the show, and Steve-O is probably going to get through his season ranks as well. I know a few people are interested to know how many seasons he's played, and we are gonna. Steve-O, you got any other questions you want to ask Block FPL about his team?
Well, you made that point a minute ago about. Completely forgotten what the point was now. That's just brilliant. What were you saying in the chat? You were just
Yeah,
saying.
I'll read a few of the comments out. So we'll start off with just saying welcome to Clement LaRue in chat. We've got John Harris, Jonathan Johnson, Ray Joyce. We got FPL pitches in chat as well. We've got Cowie76, the usual faces. FPL Fozzie, Sultan Saeed, Nishal's in chats. Great to see you guys. Yassine's back as well. Jack Jordan. FPL Booner's made it, even though I thought he wasn't going to be, but he's out shopping at the moment, so he won't be staying long in the stream. But he's saying, well done to Block FPL, well done, pal. What an unreal season you're having. Absolutely. We're using a new planet, FPL League, Live League, up the top left-hand side. Just fills the space up nicely. Is there any stream where Jason doesn't mute? No, there's not. Every stream I mute myself. Because I figured you don't want to hear the mechanical keyboard going off. Dan likes to freeze and Jace likes to mute. Yeah, well, that's it. Dan needs to get better internet, doesn't he? But hey, Paddy Pie, how you doing? We're gonna go quickly while we had the question asked. Your seasons previously, then we're talking about Block FPL right now. Is it 8 seasons you've been playing FPL for? We've got a bit of latency between us and you, us and you in Carolina. So, so tell us about so when you what year was it when you started playing? I need to get your team up. That might help things actually. Did you write this down, Steve-O? If we just because
no, so I've got on the screen here. So
yeah,
so Block started in the 2011-12 season and ended up 800,000 to the world. Ever since then, he gradually improved. In the 2014-15 season, actually ended up in 40,000, and then 15-16, 16-17, just complete disasters. But again, as Block just said, he was playing this as a family head-to-head game, had no interest whatsoever in it. Last year had a respectable 99,000. But that's what I wanted to ask you. I picked up on something that you said earlier on, which was about, you just thought you'd go and try and win this game. And as you've been processing that thought process and everything, it's certainly been up to second in the world and get as recent as game week 30 and coming down to 15th. Have you realised how difficult it is to win? Because you're at the moment 86 points off top spot. Do you think you can win it? Do you think it's possible? Because both of you haven't got any chips left either.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Sometimes I have to ask myself that. I'm like I'll probably never be this high again. It's like, wow, this is actually really hard right now. But yeah, I mean, I can win it. It's possible, like you said. And that's sort of the question. How risky do I play it? I mean, should I captain Van Dijk this week? I mean, because everybody's been captain.
It's gonna take it. I hate to say it, but it's doable. But it's like Steve-O in our mini league. Obviously, Steve-O lost a few points this week. We'll get to that later on in the podcast. But he's got triple captain. He's got a triple captain left to play on me, and I think he's 106 points or something behind me, something like that. And if he captains or triple captains the same players I'm captaining each week, he's never going to catch me. Because he doesn't have the differentials over me. He doesn't have the amount of differentials needed to catch those points. So if he wanted to catch me, he's going to have to play it risky, or he's going to have to triple captain a outsider pick that I am not going to choose. Because it's the same with you, really. Because number one is probably going to play it safe now and go with the popular captain choices each week. That's my gut feeling anyway. It just makes sense to play it quite safe. Whereas if you want it to be Maverick, it can work both ways, of course, because the majority of people are going to go with the popular pick. A Van Dijk move would be bold, but it could pay off. It's cojones, man. It all comes down to your cojones. Have you got the cojones to do it? Because you're never going to forgive yourself if you captain, you got Wilson or something. If you captain Wilson or something crazy like that, and everyone else is captaining Man City or Liverpool this week, aren't they? So, have you thought about it? Obviously, mentioned Van Dijk. Have you thought about your captaincy option this week?
Yeah, I mean, typically, I don't. I think people look too much into what's a differential and what's not a differential. You should just, it's very simple, but you should just do whatever you think can get you the most points. Because the differential, some people will use the word differential as if it's like a positive term, but he's a differential though. it's a neutral term. I mean, it's either going to be good or bad either way. Because I mean, if it's a bad differential, then it's really bad. But if it's a good differential, obviously it's really good. So, but yeah, I have thought about like Van Dijk. I captained him once earlier this year. He got 1 point against Burnley that game when Allison got fouled. Anyway, um, but yeah, I'll probably just go with Salah just because, like I said, I'm not a big fan of just taking a differential just for the fact that it's a differential. But if there ever was a time to do it, it would be probably now.
Well,
Also,
I would
Vardy.
say
I like
that-
Vardy this week.
Yeah, I mean Vardy, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Salah isn't going to be as widely picked as Mane, I wouldn't imagine, in the top 10k anyway. I would think that Mane is going to probably be picked out more so because I think a lot of people can't afford to have brought in Salah for their wild card. Obviously, playing with the double Spurs, Aguero, Sterling, it's a lot of money. So having Salah in the team is almost impossible, really. So I would suggest that captain in Salah in itself would be a standout, different captain pick from the norm. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I understand that with regards to the top 10k, but I have been looking at a lot of like the teams above me and teams in the top 20. I'm pretty sure most of them do have Salah or more than represented by the rest of the top 10k.
Oh, really?
So
I
don't
haven't
know.
looked. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'll have to look at it again. I don't really want that to be a big factor in my decision making, but it sucks because like that's totally against my normal strategy. Like to go at this point, I might have to. So I'm thinking about just giving my team one more week though, just captain Salah because I think he's gonna get the most more points, and then last 2 weeks if I have to just go crazy, I might. But I like how my team looks this week in general. So
that's good. So yeah, 11k last year, starting with auto pick team this year, put in more time and effort and struggling to get under the 200k mark. Ray Joyce says in chat, being under 200k is not a bad rank. If you can finish in the top 150k, you've done quite well, in my opinion. Yeah.
Plot made a very, very interesting point just now about differentials, and I want to plug, as patronising as this sounds, I'm going to plug something that Capping Gaming made in his latest Preview 36 podcast the other day, which was, and it really did hit how can I say it? Not a nerve, because that sounds really, really bad, but it kind of touched something to me, which I completely agreed with, and it's something that Block just said, which is, I think, where I've personally been going wrong is I've been just comparing myself to you, Jason, and people in... Not that I take the Elite FPL Mini League seriously, because I don't, but because we talk about it so often, and the fact that we got someone like Block so high up, you think, like, I'm 14,000th in the world, and I'm just like, oh, this is rubbish. FPL Boona made a thing on Twitter that he said that he's gone from 8,000th in the world to 6,000th, and he's feeling down, and it's just like, I think we're all going mad. I think Capping Gaming made a very, very good point that everybody just seems to be, it's a bit like social media, are comparing their teams to other teams that are doing so well and going, yeah, I'm having a really bad season. And all they're doing is, rather than going with their own strategy, I'm going to hold my hands up and go, actually, I haven't been doing my own strategy as of late. I've been kind of almost like, not necessarily copying bigger name players, but I haven't been looking like Block just said at teams actually directly around me in the Torbay Elite Mini League, which is why we take this so seriously. And yeah, Block made a very interesting point there that a lot of the people in the top 20 have Salah, and then you said, oh really, I didn't realise this, because you're basing it on the top 10,000. Block doesn't need to worry about the top 10,000. He needs to worry about the people above him that 14th and above.
Yeah, I guess that's I guess I look at it slightly different as well, because there's a massive wave of people behind you, especially when you're that high up. Top 10k, top 1,000, top 500. The wave gets bigger, and the weight of that massive water wave that's behind you, pushing against you, is so big that I take player selections in the top 10k quite seriously. Effective ownership to me is a big thing. That's my outlook on things. So I know that in my mind I need to have certain coverage of players just so I don't risk dropping like thousands of places if I have a bad game week. That's just the way my brain works, and it's really interesting to hear it from Block's point of view, because he plays a game a lot differently to me. Because I actually watched Block's recent podcast that he did on YouTube, and he, for those of you who haven't followed him, guys, or sub to him, go and follow to Block FPL. He's awesome. He's here, and basically he was talking about hits and taking hits, and as Block probably knows, probably everyone else in chat probably knows that. Recent weeks I did a minus 20 a few weeks before my wild card, did a wild card, then did a minus 16, and the minus 20 paid off with a 7-point plus, but the minus 16 did about 30 odd points swing. So it can work really well, or it can be an absolute disaster, and it is a gamble. You're obviously putting your neck on the line when you do a hit, but I'm not scared of taking point hits, and in fact I find it quite enjoyable, because I find part of the excitement out of FPL is that you can take risks and gamble, and yeah, I've got a bit of a comfort lead at the moment in the mini league, so it kind of helped me make the decision. But my point of view is that I'm not afraid to take risks, whereas which is kind of strange for somebody that's having such a good season to just be quite maverick and do these hits. Because I remember you were saying in your podcast how you are quite not against hits, but you very seldom take hits. Would that be a fair assessment, Block?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, I don't limit myself and say, never take a hit or anything like that, because obviously there are times to do it. But in general, I just find that most times I do -4s or -8s, it just doesn't work. So I try to avoid doing it.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I mean, it's funny because, do you know what? I'm just going to start with this, Jason. I'm sure Block has his opinion as well on this particular game that's gone by, because for you, Block, it's been a bit of a disaster, let's be honest here. And I just want to start off with what you've just said regarding hits, and I'm just going to quickly retell this boring anecdote, which is that the only reason why I changed my team was because I had 15 minutes left before the deadline on Saturday, and I only just realised when I got to the locker room at work, and I was like, oh, it's 11:15. Damn, I haven't done my transfers. I haven't even changed my captaincy or anything. What do I do? And I did Ryan and Duffy out for whoever it blinking was, Leno and Cathcart, and I captained Aguero. If I'd have just left it, I'd have done really, really well this game week. But instead, I took a -4. It's cost me God knows how many. I haven't even worked out the maths, because once this game week finished on, I think, Saturday, and then maybe Sunday, I just thought, I just don't care. I actually don't care about this game anymore. Monday comes along, Hudson-Odoi goes off injured after 40 minutes or whatever, and I was just like, this is just really summing up my season. Full stop.
It was always a risk, man, taking a punt on Hudson-Odoi. You knew that. You knew it when you went into it. And
Whoa, no, because Hudson-Odoi for me was just there as a funds thing, and I thought, well, I'll happily have him because it's just 4.2 million. But for him to go off injured with an Achilles tendon or whatever it was, and to be out for the rest of the season, it's just like, thanks a bunch. Firmino can't seem to score all of a sudden. I did this statistics the other day that when I actually had double Liverpool defence, they got me 1 clean sheet together. And then subsequently, since I got rid of them two and brought in double Liverpool attack, oh, surprise, surprise, my double Liverpool attack have done nothing, and the double Liverpool defence have kept clean sheets.
Yeah.
I
knew that it seemed that Trent Alexander-Arnold. Me and you've got a bit of a history with Trent Alexander-Arnold, haven't we? A couple of times this season where you've had Robertson in, or you've not had him, and he's scored big. I mean, the other time, of course, when he got those 2 assists. Or was it a hat trick of assists? Was it 2 assists or 3 assists?
A hat trick of assists.
It was a hat trick. It was a hat trick. Yeah, that was it. It's crazy. I just want to say that I did Cathcart in for Duffy. We all knew how that went. I did Lacazette in for Vardy. We all know how that went. I did Lucas Moura in for Ericsson. We all know how that went. I did Leno in for Ryan. We all know how that went. The only one I can say I did well on was Laporte in for Dunk. So those are my transfers. I've got my team up actually in front of me. I think it'd be a good time to just say that we'll go for our teams now. We'll talk about what went right, what went wrong. It's all been about about Brighton for me. Taking those Brighton assets out. I think everyone's going to have a similar story that's done changes for this double game week past. And yeah, I think I got off. With obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold and captain in Sterling in the end with the assist against United. I'm very lucky that he got that assist. I wasn't expecting great points this week. 95 points, minus 16. Still managed somehow to gain lead on Stevo, but in the overall ranking dropped over 200 places. I think over 300 places in the overall rankings, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot of places, but I'm hoping to get those ranks back in the coming game weeks. Hopefully finish high in the top 250 maybe, all being well and good. But I haven't got any chips left, as we spoke about. Lacazette, bit of a disappointment. What am I going to do with Lacazette? I have no idea. That's the only question mark on my team at the moment. And yeah, if I was to make, I mean, there's two players, Lucas Moura and Lacazette, and obviously Emery in his rotation. Obviously Aubameyang, if he's going to be back fit now, would expect to be playing more minutes probably than Lacazette. That's just my gut feeling. Lucas Moura, now I'm worried about the rotation with Pochettino. God, but I mean, other than that, I'm not too concerned about my team going forward. I did set myself up for the next coming game weeks. Leno in goal though. Oh, Arsenal don't like their clean sheets at the moment, do they, guys? So that's my team anyway. There's not much else to talk about. I just want to go on to Steve-O's team, because obviously he's second in the Torbay Elite Mini League. He's fighting for a respectable finish in the Torbay Elite. The Elite FPL Mini League. Steve-O, let's start this. I won't
go that far.
The moment we've been waiting for, the rant for game week 35. What happened to Valerie as well, guys? Valerie, a popular pick. What a disappointment. So yeah,
like I say, I just can't get my head around the fact that if I'd have done nothing, I'd have been up by, again, I haven't done the maths, but I know for a fact I would have been up by about, at least, I would have got, instead of 81, I don't know, whatever the flaming points is, it would have been more than my bench boost. My bench boost got me 4, 5, 9, got me 10 points. I mean, Duffy and Ryan alone got 12 points on his own. So, yeah, this game week has been absolutely atrocious.
It defied logic, didn't it?
Jimenez. Yeah. I mean, Block, you captain Jimenez, and he did nothing in a 3-0 win, or 3-1, whatever. How are you feeling when that happened?
Yeah, actually, that was part of my minus 4 the week before. I got in Son and Jimenez and it's just, that's part of the luck factor. I mean, I feel like my analysis of the situation wasn't necessarily incorrect. It just doesn't always work out. So I guess that's sort of how it is. It's really surprising. I mean, I was sure that Jimenez would at least get an assist, and I was watching the game, and it was very frustrating. But yeah, I also want to say I can't believe y'all took hits to get in Watford defenders. That's one thing I really pointed out in my
7
video recently.
seconds, Block. 7 seconds. It took long to score that goal.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was unlucky. There's no doubt about that.
The quickest goal in FPL.
Either way, they were really only ever going to get one clean sheet from those 2 games. I think so. I mean, I thought about getting 1 in instead of Bali, but not for a hit. I would never do a minus 4. I don't care if they have 2 games. I just don't really trust them. But yeah, Son. Oh my gosh, Son and Jimenez. If one of them would have done something, it would help me out a lot. Also, my Bournemouth players. Fraser had 4 shots but no returns at all, and that was against Fulham. So, some unluckiness there. I mean, I feel like I made the right decision by keeping them. If I would have known that Fraser would have had 4 shots, and I'm sure he created some chances I hadn't really looked yet, but I would have held on to him. So yeah, that's just, I don't know. There's not much you can do.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Block, based on just things you were just saying then, are you like me then, where you actually look at players or teams and just take what they do literally rather than looking at underlining statistics, which I absolutely can't?
I'll just watch the actual shots themselves so I can see, okay, would he score this usually? I can sort of judge it for myself, but typically I agree with sort of what you're saying. Like, if I knew Bournemouth would win 3-0 next game, I might be tempted to captain Fraser or Wilson. So if I thought they were going to win like 4-0, I would be like, okay, let me go for this. But I don't look at the team too general like that. I like to see like if a player's looking to shoot a lot or anything where a goal scorer. I typically don't like Madison. He hasn't been great. He still took 3 shots this game, and he's been looking to score all year, which is why I've liked him. So any week he can, one of those shots he takes, even if they're outside the box, it could go in. So I like players that are at least looking to shoot. That way, when they get the good chance or something, it's not an abnormal situation for them.
And anything from the community, Jason? Any like interesting thoughts for Block to answer and questions in general?
Okay, so yeah, we're talking about Laporte being the double game week hero. Ray Joyce and Christopher Yacinthins in chat talking about him. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So glad I got Laporte in. A few eyebrows raised, obviously, with the fixtures that they had, but they've got solid fixtures going forward, and he is proven to be an amazing double game week asset. Next game week, John Harris says, next season, John Harris says, I'm triple captaining a double game week defender. Could be, could work out. You never know. No matter what I score, says Ray Joyce, I seem to get a red arrow in the Elite Podcast League. 95 with a -12 red arrow. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I got 95 with the -16 red arrow. So I mean, it's a lot of people did well this week. A lot of people did well, especially those that kept hold of Brighton. See a lot of 115, 120 plus scores in the top 1,000. So I was expecting a bit of a red arrow. Instead of Valerie, I was considering a second Wolves defender in Johnny. Whoa, that would have worked out well for you. And 2 assists over the double game week, very good return. FPL Fozzie says about my Lacazette conundrum, possibly Lacazette to Firmino. Yeah, that's a move I've looked at, but as Steve-O's mentioned, he's not been getting any points as of late. He's dropping deep. He's playing more of a midfielder than a striker. And also is obviously the rotation risks as well going forward into the next games. Will Klopp rest Firmino? You never know. He's played a lot of minutes lately, and we got does Block right here we go. FPL Fozzie also asked Block directly. Does Block play the price rise early or play safe after the press conferences?
Especially the first half of the season, this season especially, I played price rises so hard. Like I didn't want to lose 0.1 ever. I feel like considering I take a good amount of risk. Like I captained Alonso, Van Dijk, and I triple captained Duffy this year. But anyway, that's probably the biggest risk I take. I'm just going to take the risk and make sure I get the price rise every time and just hope they don't get injured, unless it's like a Guerrero on a midweek game or somebody like Trent Alexander-Arnold who struggled with injury, or Luke Shaw or something like that has a pattern of getting injured. But if it's somebody like Vardy, I'm going to just go ahead and get especially like right now, I don't care about it as much because there's only 3 weeks left and I'm just trying to get the points. But yeah, early on, I love getting the price rise. It was a major part of my strategy this year.
Absolutely, getting the value up, squad value up, especially for the second wild card. I mean, it's proven valuable, really, isn't it? Having the funds available to get those players in that are sought after. We got any more questions in chat? Oh yeah, people had to refresh the stream. The stream cut off for about 10 seconds, so just refresh which people are doing now. So yeah, we've talked about our teams a little bit. Block, going forwards, should we start with you? You've mentioned Salah, the captaincy. Are you thinking of any possible transfers in your team? Are you happy with your team, how it sets up for Game Week 36? Talk to us a bit more about that.
All right, so I don't think I'm going to make any transfers. My big dilemma right now is, I have my defenders. I got to play one of Duffy, Bali, and Kolasinac. I'm probably going to play Duffy, even though me and him have a bad relationship right now because I triple captained him. But Fraser and Wilson, I got to decide if I play one of them or do I play Madison. But see, I have so many options here. I feel like I don't need to make a transfer. I'll wait and I'll just have 2 next time. and that'll also give me a better chance to see like how differential I need to go in terms of shooting for the number one spot. I like that I have two Liverpool Huddersfield. The Huddersfield match is obviously great. Son against West Ham. Don't I don't trust Son. He just doesn't look good as he did against City in the Champions League game. One thing I would like to mention is something that Steve-O has been talking about recently about how we expect a player to do really good one week and then the next week they'll come through. That could be the case for Jimenez this week. Obviously he had a whole a double game week full of failure. Plays Watford this week. It's not the worst matchup, and he had some decent chances. Like he had a little toe poke from like 8 yards out last game. That if just he can probably score that, I don't know, 40-50% of the time. So I'm probably going to leave him in. I could play Madison over him, but my guess is pretty much as good as anybody else's right now in terms of who I start. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm going to save my transfer. Only thing I could do it on, I could get Patricio out and bring some other goalkeeper in, but I don't see anybody around that price range. So I think I'm going to save it.
Yeah, makes sense. Steve, your thoughts this next game week? Are you thinking of rejigging a few players in your team? You're going to keep things the way they are? You're going to try and save a transfer? What's your thoughts?
In some ways, I've kind of I feel like I've just given up because in our cash mini league that we take so seriously, I'm 50 points clear of third spot.
You can't basically give up, man. The way that Pete Andrews is catching,
Yeah, but I've got too many of his players. I mean, his differentials would have to, players like Kolasinac would have to go on some insane run of form to capture me. Trippier, Will Hughes. I mean, this rubbish. Pogba's the only one that worries me, but with all this talk coming out lately from the United camp, I'm surprised he's even being allowed to play for United at the moment, but, Yeah, majority of his players don't worry me. Lacazette's another one which, but I think the majority of my players, I've got too many decent differentials over his to not be worried, to be worried about a 50-point swing. What I mean?
Are you not going to try and wangle getting in Salah, for example?
I was thinking of that today, and I was genuinely, what I was going to do, I was going to get rid of Eriksen and, who was it? Eriksen and Mane for Salah and Jota, but I was 0.1 out of that move, so I didn't do it. And I was going to do it for a -4, but yeah, I was kind of tempted on that. But no, I'm not. I can't afford to get Salah in. I think
a lot of people now, with their reduced squad value from the wild card, resulting from the wild card earlier, obviously a few game weeks ago, I think a lot of people are going to want Salah in, but they just can't afford to get him in.
Yeah, my team's pretty much set up as I'm expect. I don't think I'm going to be doing any transfers this week. I'm perfectly happy within reason, happy with my team, so to speak. I'm probably going to play Gunn over Leno, mine, because Arsenal are just. Well, we'll do our preview in a minute, but Leno and Arsenal is useless away at the moment. But yeah, I'm relatively happy with my team. It's more of a. It's like you said. Do I choose a differential captain?
Yeah.
Or do I go with a safety option in Mane? And as Block said, it's more of who do I think is going to do best rather than going with the crowd. And at the moment, my captaincy admittedly is on Aguero, but I'm actually thinking of going to Sterling personally.
It'd be a good time to remind everybody that game week 36 is tomorrow night. It's a Friday evening kickoff, and it's Liverpool v Huddersfield. So there'll be a lot of captains playing in the first game of the game week. Let's start with the preview. Let's go straight into the preview. So 8 o'clock kickoff at Anfield. We're expecting lots of goals for Liverpool. Mane, Salah being very popular picks, and maybe even people captaining Firmino or Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe tempted to do something a bit sideways like that. I'll go ahead now, and I'm thinking this is going to be a 3-0 win for Liverpool. I'm worried there may be some rest for one of Mane or Salah. or at least reduced minutes, at least, whether they start the game or come on if they haven't scored. I have a feeling that Klopp's going to do something in terms of managing minutes, especially for the Champions League, and this is a good game to do it. But I do think they'll win 3-0. Probably going to captain Mane myself. So yeah, 3-0 for me. What about you, Steve-O?
Well, before we get onto my predictions, Block, do you do your own personal predictions and go with captaincy based on that, or do you just not worry about that and actually kind of just go with what you said, your gut feeling, who will be the best captaincy for this game week? There he is.
I take it into consideration for sure, but I don't go out of my way to make that like my number one predictor of who's going to do well. But yeah, like every week I will make sure okay, who plays Huddersfield, who plays all the worst teams, that team. I mean, it all comes into consideration, but yeah, no, it's not this.
Before I predict, what do you think what's your prediction for this Liverpool versus Huddersfield then?
I'm gonna have to say Huddersfield lose 4-0.
4-0.
Once they get down, I don't care if they take. You don't play for the team as much. Do a little hard back that, showing with the stats where like teams have nothing to play for, concede and score more goals on average. So yeah, I think it'll be 4. It could be anywhere from. It could be 3-1 to 5 or 6-0. Yeah.
And
wow.
very quick. I have an interesting question for you, Block. While I just thought now, just dawned on me. You've been from the States. What, if any, what Premier League team do you support?
Oh, I don't really support one. I mean, there's something wrong with all the teams where I just can't quite support them, right? So, I mean, Arsenal, their whole style of like being not physical enough is just lame to me. They're not aggressive. My brother likes Liverpool, so I can't like them. I mean, I typically just like players, so like I don't know, but I'll have to like if somebody wins me the league on the final day, like if Jimenez scores, I'll have to get a Jimenez jersey or something like that. So
Wolves have been playing amazing football this year, this season. They to come up and to have the season they've had, you've got to take it out of them. Really, they've had a great season, and. Yeah, so who do you want to win the league then out of Liverpool and City? If you, I know you say you haven't got a favourite team, but who would you like to win out of the two, if at all?
I don't know. I mean, my favourite team to watch is Barcelona just because they're so good. And I liked them when they had Pep Guardiola. I'm a fan of Pep Guardiola. I would like to see him win, but I don't know. It's a tough one. It would be a cool story because Liverpool haven't won in so long. And a lot of people will try to hate on Salah, but I think he's a really good player. People call him a one-season wonder, which is ridiculous. I have a friend that does that, so I would like to, just for that sake, for them to win.
No, we don't want Liverpool. We don't want Liverpool to win. We'd never hear the end of it if Liverpool won. And you mentioned Barcelona. You mentioned Barcelona, and Man City would be the closest, in my opinion, team to a Barcelona-esque style in the Premier League. The way that Pep set up the tiki-taka approach, the pass and move, the playing from the black, and Bernardo Silva's looking like an absolute phenomenal player under Pep at the moment. So interesting. So 4-0. Steve-O, what do you think? Liverpool at home to Huddersfield.
The guru of predictions.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not as confident as you two. I have this gut feeling that Liverpool will do, as Dan always says, a professional job, and I don't think it's going to be as high as what Block's saying, 4, 5, 6. Games like that very rare that they happen, and I'm going to go with just 2-0 to Liverpool. I think for high-scoring games, there are probably better teams this weekend to be more high-scoring. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 there. And moving on to what could be a very high-scoring game is Tottenham at home to West Ham. And I think Tottenham are going to destroy West Ham here.
Really?
I'm going to go 3-0 to Tottenham. I think it's going to be a very, very comfortable. But what I will say is, you talked about rotation. That's why I'm thinking of getting rid of Eriksen. I think Liverpool won't rotate. I think Liverpool will just get on with the games as per normal. It's Tottenham that are really wanting to be pushing for something. And yeah, I think Eriksen's going to be rested. I'm going to go 3-0 to Tottenham, Jason.
Wow, interesting. 3-0. I'm probably not going to go as high as 3. I'm going to go 2-1 to Spurs. I think West Ham will probably nick a goal. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see a few rotations in there. I'm hoping Lucas Moura can get some minutes and possibly get on the score sheet. What an absolute punt that's been. But yeah, Spurs. You know, they've got their eyes on the Champions League, and obviously in the top 4. They've having some bit of good form. Obviously, Eriksen getting that late goal. Yeah, 2-1 Spurs. Block, what's your thoughts on Spurs West Ham at the stadium, Hotspur Stadium?
I do think Tottenham will dominate the game. It'll probably be, I'm going to have to say 2-0. They'll have much more chances than that probably, but somebody like Llorente will miss them, so 2-0.
Yeah. And Daily Llama is in chat saying 2-1 as well. So and Basketball is saying 4-1.
4-1, blimey, yeah. I mean, on to another team that are absolutely... I mean, I read a stat that... Crystal Palace are 19th in the home league table, and they're up against Everton, and I think Everton are going to win this. I think Crystal Palace will score, and I'm going to go 2-1 to Everton, Jason.
Really?
And I think that Sigurdsson is someone certainly to be looking at.
See, I think that this is the game to own Zaha, and I feel that
he's a forward. That's the problem. He's a forward. He's not a midfielder in the game.
Yeah. And I think that a few people may be looking at bringing in Zaha or obviously Vardy this week against the dodgy Arsenal. I don't know if people are thinking of doing some weird transfers. I'm thinking I've just got a gut feeling that Zaha's going to do something this game. Maybe whether it be win a penalty again for Milivojevic to score, his like millionth penalty this season, something like that. Is it on 12 penalties he's scored now? Crazy. And next year, how many of you FPL managers next year are going to be bringing in Milivojevic with VAR being in? I just think that Everton, I know they're on a great run of form, but Roy Hodgson seems to, I don't know, at Selhurst Park, I just think he can get something out of this. I think 2-1 to Crystal Palace with Zaha getting on the score sheet, maybe Milivojevic as well.
What are you thinking, Block?
I'm going to have to guess... Well, it's going to be a good game, and I think y'all should bet over who gets more points out of Zaha or Sigurdsson. Y'all should put something online with that. But anyway, I think Everton will win 2-1.
Oh.
I think it'll just be one of those games. It'll be close. Eventually, Everton will show they have people like Sigurdsson that really, he'll create something. But I do think, like you said, I think Zaha will probably draw a penalty, or his individual quality will come through too. But it'll be a close game. If I had players in the game, I'd definitely watch it because I think it'll be exciting.
Now then, on to a team in Fulham who have just all of a sudden 2 clean sheets in a row, scoring a few goals, up against Cardiff, who are they're basically relegated. The likelihood of them staying up would pretty much depend on this game, I suppose. But even then, the teams above them, Southampton, us, Burnley, Newcastle, Brighton is another team. I think they're just getting away now. I just think Cardiff are just heads in the sand. And I think, again, Fulham are going to come out. I think Fulham are going to have some fun. I'm going to go 3-1 to Fulham, Jason.
Really? 3-1 to Fulham?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand your logic in that. I think Fulham will edge this game. I don't think it's going to be that many goals. I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham, and probably Mitrovic getting something out of it.
Is that someone to look at, Block? Mitrovic? Or is he just... Or maybe Babel even?
I'm not sure. I'd probably take Babel over Mitrovic just because, like you said, the whole forward versus midfielder thing. Mitrovic always, like, from the beginning of the season, he's had stretches where he puts up these good shots and he's good underlying stats. But I've never brought him in just because I never really trusted his quality or Fulham in general. But for this game, I'm probably going to have to say I agree. I think Fulham will win 1-0.
Wow.
It's interesting, like early game week, like game week 3 onwards. I think a lot of people were looking at Mitrovic. Obviously, I don't know. It seems to be a bit of a misfiring striker. Really, I agree with you about Fulham's quality. It's been lacking all season, and a bit disappointing because a lot of people were expecting them to do better with obviously the money they spent on the team. Obviously, going through managers like No Tomorrow as well. But yeah. Yeah, good point on that. I don't think Mitrovic is someone to get in, especially not at this stage of the season. I think there's too many other options that are better. Southampton v Bournemouth.
Yeah, this is either going to be one of those where, like with the Brighton game, we bench our Southampton defenders and they keep a clean sheet, or if we play them, they'll probably concede 4 goals. But this is. Bournemouth are on the beach, but yeah, this is. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. This, and I'm going to go 3-2 to Southampton. I think Southampton will just edge this. Yeah, 3-2 to Southampton, Jason.
Yes. So Bournemouth, I think, have got a better attack than Southampton. And I see both teams scoring. I'm going to go with a 2-1 to Southampton. Sorry, to Bournemouth. 2-1 to Bournemouth. Yeah, 2-1 to Bournemouth. Which is good music to Block's ears, I'm sure, with Wilson.
Yeah. I definitely need Wilson and Fraser this week. I'm going to have to say... I could see anywhere from Bournemouth scoring 4 to them being held to 0. But I'm going to say Bournemouth win... 2-1.
Wow. Now on to another game that could be quite high scoring, in Watford versus Wolves. But Wolves' record versus these so-called poorer teams. I'm going to think Watford are going to edge this one, and I'm going to go 2-0 to Watford. I think, 2-0 to Watford.
2-0 to Watford? Well, I just cleared my ears. Hang on. Did I hear that right? 2-0 to Watford. Wow. Wow.
Sure.
Wolves' form versus these teams is just terrible.
No.
And
okay,
Watford at home aren't no clowns. And I think they'll edge out Wolves.
Fair enough. I mean, I see. I'm gonna go 1-0 to Wolves. I don't see Watford scoring.
Okay.
All right. So Wolves over their last 5 away games haven't won. One of those was a loss to Huddersfield. They drew with Chelsea, lost to Burnley, lost to Southampton. I mean, that's pretty bad. I don't see Wolves winning just for that, but I do think Jimenez will finally get a goal or assist. I think 2-1 for Watford.
Cool.
2-1 to Watford.
Yep.
Like it.
Mick Lee in chat says Wolves 2-2.
Yeah. On to what could be. I mean, is this going to be another 2 brick walls again from Brighton up against Newcastle? Are Brighton just going to be putting up brick walls, just getting a point per game? I mean, they nearly got a point versus Tottenham the other night, and potentially another 0-0. And can they do it with Newcastle? And the simple answer, I think Newcastle are going to break Brighton's hearts, and I'm actually going to go with. I'm going to go 2-0 to Newcastle. I think Newcastle will just break through them and get the goals that they need. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Newcastle, Jason.
Yeah, Perez being mass transferred in, people owning Rondon and bringing him in as well. I mean, I can see Newcastle winning it. I really can. They're a good team, Newcastle, and Almiron, obviously from the other side of the pond, from Block's side of the pond, Almiron joining from the MLS has really injected a bit of speed and a bit of fire into their midfield. So yeah, I'm
injured for the rest of the season.
Is he?
No, I think so. Yeah, I think he's.
Almiron's out for the rest of the season.
I think. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me click on that.
No way.
He hurt himself the other night, and
Oh no, I didn't even know that.
hamstring. Yeah.
I
That's
didn't know
right.
that.
For the rest of the season. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I still think they're going to win. They're on a good run of form. I think Brighton. They're probably going to just hold. They're going to probably just try and hold out, and I think it's going to be a 1-0 to Newcastle.
Were you thinking block?
Well, I don't know. Brighton have been sitting really deep lately. I wish I knew how Newcastle typically did against teams that sat that deep, but I'm going to have to say Newcastle 2-1. I think Brighton finally gets some lucky goal off a set piece. Hopefully it's Duffy.
Keep the faith with Duffy, man.
On to Dan's team, Arsenal. They're facing Leicester at... I forget. What's their ground called again, Jason? Leicester's ground?
King Power Stadium.
King Power, that's the one, yeah. Will Arsenal's away form continue, which is basically they just can't seem to do anything, and I think Leicester are going to do them. I really do, and I think this could be a really open game. And I think Dan is not going to enjoy this at all. And I'm going to go, block, play Maddison, play Vardy. I'm going to go 3-1 to Leicester.
3-1 to Leicester. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, Arsenal and defending at the moment, God, they're shocking, aren't they? And I can't believe I brought Leno in. I thought it was such a good idea at the time. I don't know what I must have been smoking. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think they're going to be too open. Vardy's going to have an absolute party. With Socrates and Koscielny and Kalas. I just think there's going to be goals in this for Leicester. I think it's going to be 2-1. Going to go 1 goal less. 2-1 Leicester.
2-1 to Leicester. We're confident on Leicester assets.
I might actually get. I might go Lacazette to Vardy. I think I can afford that. Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
back in again.
Yeah.
Y'all making me want to captain Vardy. That's for sure. I think Leicester will score multiple goals for sure. I'm gonna have to say 3-2 to Leicester. I think Arsenal will score because I don't trust Leicester's defense, but hopefully Vardy will score too.
Yeah. So then on to my boys, Burnley, who could potentially spoil Man City's title chances here. And this is the game everybody's saying that if Man City win, they've won the title. And I'll just be
right back. The little one's awake, running around upstairs. I'll be right back now.
I think Block City are going to destroy us. I think we're going to get just annihilated, and I'm going to go. Can we? The question is, can we score against Man City? And I think we can. But I'm going to go 4-1 to Man City.
Yeah, I think y'all can score against Man City off of set pieces, especially with Westwood corner or something like that. But last time wasn't it 5-0? So it doesn't look good for y'all. But I'll have to say just 3-0. Man City will just do the job.
I think City are one of those teams where if you go at them, they don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was last year in the FA Cup. We went at them and we went, I think, 2-0 up, and then we eventually lost 3-2. And I'm hoping Sean Dyche will actually be like, you know what, let's do what we did against Chelsea. Admittedly, we just did what we did last season, which is just hold back and, score with our only shots on goal. But I'm hoping Dyche just says, just go for it, lads. And, we're safe now. Had a bit of fun. And I just think City's quality are going to be too much for us. So, Jason, you just rejoined us. I went 4-1 to City. Block's gone 3-0. Are you confident in a more respectable score for us?
I think that Man City got a habit of conceding against lower teams. I'm going to go with... and Burnley have got a good record of scoring, especially of late. So I can see a nick and a goal, but I can't see Man City not scoring at least 2 or 3. I'm going to go 3-1 to Man City.
3-1. Yeah.
Sucks being a Laporte owner.
Now then, Jason, on to your team, United. And what is going to happen here? I mean, your form as of late, or even just of the last 9 or 10 games, have been absolutely atrocious. And you know what? I have this gut feeling that Chelsea are going to do you. I think Hazard is going to have some fun. And I just think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is just going to be, well, wondering why did he take the job in the end, because I just don't think it's going to get any better. And I think that Chelsea are going to win here in a very tough line. I think it's going to be really tight. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea. But I think Hazard could be a really good differential captain choice potentially. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-1, Jason.
I think Man United are going to win this. And I know they've been playing pretty dull as of late and not putting much effort in. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows his team and he knows the players that aren't performing and he knows things need to be done. He said it publicly in his press conferences. He said that there's going to be some big changes come the summer. There's going to be players out the door, without a doubt. There's going to be players in through the door, whether or not we've got the attraction of old days where we could attract the best. Personally, I think it comes down to youth, about playing the youth players. I was really happy with the performance that United put in against Man City. It showed glimpses of their best, obviously, but then slipped in the second half. So I think United need to up their game. It's a big game versus Chelsea, especially for the top 4 race. Whether or not we stand a chance to be in the top 6, let alone top 4, is questionable. I think that we need to win it. I think we will put in I'm hoping we put in a good performance. I'm going to go with 3-1 Man United. There we go. Boom.
3-1.
Wow.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Block?
I think it's going to be much closer than that. I think I'm going to have to go. I think Chelsea will control the ball. I think Man United will have chances, but it'll be similar to the Man City game where they can't quite score. I think it'll be 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a nice prediction. I like that. So yeah, what are thoughts in chat, Jason?
Basketball in chat has asked, should I bench Rashford or take him out? He played well against City. He got on the end a few chances. Was unlucky to score at least one of the chances. Obviously, they weren't cut and dry. I think we only had one shot the whole game on target. But if you got Rashford in, who are you thinking of transferring him out for that price range? Price? Have you got money in the bank? To upgrade him. You're looking to downgrade and maybe upgrade a midfielder. I mean, you're probably gonna have to take a hit if you do. So yeah, probably not worth transferring out in my opinion, unless you can do a decent swap for someone. Or you thinking about Mitrovic? Would I rather have Mitrovic this week? I predicted that he'd score against Cardiff. I don't know. I think I'd rather have Rashford in my team. United are a better team than Fulham. I think that Rashford's got a more chance of scoring, in my opinion. Or Zaha. That's another one. Alexander Todorov, absolutely. Zaha could be. If you really are set for getting rid of Rashford, then yeah, a Zaha pick might be good. Could be a good option. We got Pogba red card versus Chelsea, says Red Joyce in chat. would cap off a great season, wouldn't it? Chelsea struggle against a deep block. Solskjaer will just counter. Man United will get the points 2-1. Yeah, I mean, I think if Chelsea get the possession, they'll just play them on the counter attack. We've got a bit of pace in our attack. Obviously, Rashford, Lingard if he plays. Steve-O's ripping into United. Telling us what he really thinks. Almiron. Going back to my Almiron quote earlier on. Alexander thinks he's overrated. He hasn't really had time to prove himself in the Premier League. Obviously, it's a big league to come into, but I feel he's been all right. Chelsea have been shocking at times. I think United will win, says Mick Lee. I don't think Chelsea have been playing amazing football. It's only Hazard that's really been an attractive player to watch for Chelsea as of late. I don't know.
It starts. If Sarri starts Giroud, you're going to lose, Jason. United are going to lose because when Giroud seems to be in the team, they all just seem to relax and just enjoy their football. But if he starts Higuain, then you've got a very good chance of beating Chelsea. But it's all down to who Sarri picks, to be honest with you.
It's going to come down to one player. Chat, you heard it here first.
Yeah. There's two players in that team.
Yeah.
Hazard and Giroud. When they start together, that's it.
All right, one more question from Basca says, who would you start out of Deulofeu, Fraser and Rashford? Who would you start? What, one of them? Or which two should I start out of? So who should you bench out of Deulofeu, Fraser and Rashford? Ooh, that's a good question. We'll start with the man who's flying high block. Who would you bench out of Deulofeu, Fraser, Rashford?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I think you bench Rashford, Deulofeu at home, and Fraser. I don't know. I just don't see Man United doing that well against Chelsea. He's been playing out wide. Like I said, Fraser had 4 shots last game. Obviously, we know what Deulofeu can do, and I feel like Fraser and Deulofeu both have getting 2 goals and having that big game where you're like, oh, I wish I would have started them. Rashford, yeah, I'm not gonna say probably, but he might get an assist or a goal, but I think he has a lower ceiling for sure.
I benched Deulofeu myself. Steve-O?
I'm thinking the same lines. It's just Deulofeu seems to only do well away from home. At home, he doesn't seem to do next. He seems to do next to nothing basically. So if he was away from home, which he's not, I'd play him. But yeah, Fraser away at Southampton. God, that is a tough one. But yeah, I'd probably bench, as Block said, Rashford. Although I don't like. Actually, no, I'd bench Deulofeu. Actually,
right, okay.
I always like playing premium players, and I think, I think Rashford's worth the risk, really.
That's a good question.
Talking of like, sorry, James.
I was just saying that was a good question. It's a bit of a hard one now, a bit of a tough one.
No, you mentioned Block. You do a podcast and whatnot. Not just tell me, but tell our audience what your podcast is about. I mean, we all know what it's going to be about, but what do you generally talk about, and how long does it go on for, and how can we find you, etc.?
Well, it's just Block Space FPL on YouTube. I just review the week, and I talk about like whatever just comes to mind. Like my last video was about how I think people take too many hits, and how you should, I think we should require more evidence, in terms of statistics to warrant taking the hit. I think people just take too many. But yeah, and I'll just do a preview of like each week coming up. I didn't start like recording videos until like a couple of weeks ago. So, but yeah, it's been fun and everything. It's just the basic stuff, just preview, talk about captain choices, what people want to hear. And then like tomorrow I'll probably upload a Q&A video. People can ask me anything on Twitter about the next game week, and I'll just respond.
And what made you decide to do the video?
I don't know. It just seemed fun. I always thought just like being a YouTuber would just be fun. So, and yeah, I was like when I started, I was like 6th in the world at the time. So I'm like, well, I'm sure people will ask me questions just based on that alone. So I might as well do it.
Have you found it like a success? Have you found it a bit of a struggle? Do you find it quite difficult speaking to the camera, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sort of weird. I mean, like at first there was just this terrible microphone at my college that sounded horrific, but I've got this. Yeah, like one video, I went from like 30 views one video to the next one had 1.7 thousand or 1.7K. So that was exciting, but my last one didn't have as many. But it's been fun so far. I like the whole Twitter community and everything. It's been fun to interact with people and stuff like that.
I've got a question in chat. So Did you talk about Liverpool triple captain picks? So for those people out there who haven't used their triple captain, Steve-O being one of them, who out of Liverpool would you recommend them using it on Liverpool this week against Huddersfield first and foremost? And if so, who would you be tempted to use it on? So Steve-O.
I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm actually...
He's going to use it. He's using his triple captain this week, guys. I know you're going to use it.
What I was going to say is I'm actually planning on using it on the last game week. I just don't... Like you said, there's no point in me using it this particular game week because people like yourself are going to be probably captain the same player that I would captain anyway. I just don't think I'd be able to get an advantage triple captaining a player that the majority of people are going to be doing it on. So I'm probably going to be saving it for the last game of the season. Or maybe even the following game week. I don't know, but it's certainly...
What, game week 39?
The point in using... Yeah. I just don't see the point in using it tomorrow, really. I see the advantages to doing it, but if I had him, I would bottle it and I'd go with Salah. So if I own Salah and Mane, I would go with Salah. It's just that fear factor. I mean, if you had Block, if you had both Salah and Mane, who would you more than likely go with? I mean, I would like to think Mane based on his form, but
no, I'd go with Salah, just because, like last game he had one more shot than Mane. He's on penalties. For me, that's probably the biggest decider. It's really just a toss-up. And he's also a better dribbler in terms of just getting the ball and just creating something right on the edge of the box. So I'm just going to have to go with Salah. I also think he has like a higher ceiling in terms of he could get a hat trick easier than Mane could. And at this point, that's what a lot of people are looking for. So
I mean, the guys in the Shoutcast were talking about Salah and Mane, and I think they were saying about Mane having less shots but having more bigger opportunities, bigger chances to score. So obviously Salah working himself in shooting areas, taking shots, does look good on the stats wise, but the actual big opportunities seem to fall to Mane of recent weeks. But yeah, I do like the look of Salah. He's been off the boil for a long time during the season. He's not been up to the standard that he set for himself. I think everyone's looked at the price tag that he is and judged him on the value that he provides. And I think up until game week 22, 23, he didn't really cause much of a stir in the FPL community. And I think now it's going to be a case of it'd be nice to have him. I think a lot of people will be going for Mane though. But if I had both of my team, Salah and Mane, I mean, I saw that goal he scored. I mean, yeah, I think I probably would go with Salah as well. Yeah, I really would. I even though I think a lot of people will choose Mane, I think I would probably pick Salah over Mane. Yeah.
Look, if you're in a position like me and you are virtually in the same position in the sense of you're chasing number one in the world, who is 89 points clear of you or 86 points clear of you. I'm chasing Jason in theory, despite him being 110 points clear of me. Are you thinking actually maybe the last three games, like you said earlier on about just going for it, maybe captaining a differential, or do you just think, no, just stick with safety and just hopefully my other differentials within my team do well?
Pretty much in week, I might take a risk this week with Salah with sort of hat-trick potential that this game has. I don't think it's the time to go for differential. But I would also like to say that I'm more, at this point, going after second than I am first. Second, that's like an extra... He's only like 40 points above me, I believe. Something like that.
Wow.
And it's like the second place prize is like a free trip to England and like to get to see an EPL game and stuff like that. So it's... And as well as like a games console. It's very similar. So yeah, second is fine with me too. But yeah, I would probably say that I'm gonna wait a week on the differential captain baits. I just can't do it yet. Not a lot matched up.
We got a fellow American in chat. Cheers from Miami. Cheers from Miami. Cheers from Miami, Steve-O. Would you pick Delafeu or Babel for the rest of the season?
Babel.
There you go. Bring him in. The red-haired assassin.
I think that I honestly think that Watford may just start easing off now they're approaching the end of the season and not wanting to get injured for the FA Cup. And I'm sure in recent times that a lot of teams that have ended up being in the FA Cup final, they just kind of ease off a bit and don't want to get hurt. And yeah, I mean, looking at Fulham's fixtures, they've got Cardiff up next. I think Babel should take advantage of that. Then they're away at Wolves, where we know what Wolves are like at these teams. And then the final day of the season at home to Newcastle. And yeah, I just think that Ryan Babel I'm sick to death of saying this now, differential. I think over Delafeu, yeah, I'd take Babel. Yeah, why not?
Okay, we'll talk about the Elite FPL Podcast League for a moment. We've got some movement in the Manager of the Month for this month. Let's quickly just bring it up. Let me find my screen capture. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it. There it is.
I better get there before you, and I better have you. I have.
Yeah, you probably have.
Cap and game is ready. Oh.
Yeah.
Kieran Hay.
Yeah, so we've got, right, let me just zoom this out a little bit. There we go. Kieran Hay currently atop. Yeah, don't know who that is, Kieran. Do you watch the show? Must do. You're in the league.
132 points this game week.
That's crazy.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Let's have a see what they did.
I know Nishal's in chat. I know I've seen Nishal. But yeah, all these players, obviously people with their usernames on YouTube have got different names for their team and for obviously their real name. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know who Kieran Hay is.
So Kieran Hay, he's 3,000th in the world, 132 points, bench boost played. He had Foster and Ryan, Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Laporte, Duffy and Valerie, Jota, Son, Sterling, Ericsson and Delafeu, Jimenez, Wilson and Aguero. So basically every player did something for him, barring Son, Jimenez, Wilson and Valerie. That's crazy. That's incredible. Fair flame play to Kieran there. Says he's an Arsenal fan. You know, like to think he's a regular watcher of this podcast and whatnot. So he may be in with a chance of winning that Elite FPL Cup. But to be fair, I mentioned Capping Gaming, and Capping Gaming is only 16 points behind him. So it's actually very, very close for the Manager of the Month in April. Which, is this going to be the final week as well?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's all to play for in that Manager of the Month.
Yeah,
I
I think Block may have disconnected. I'll just double check. Yeah, I think he has. The internet over the pond, it seems to be a little bit iffy.
Yeah, so I mean, just before we wrap up, Jason, so are you relatively confident going into this game week then?
No.
What do you mean? We've got to explain. What do you mean? Because you haven't got Salah, or?
Well, I thought I had a great team last week and it didn't do so well. No, I'm just going to take it as it comes. I'm not going to get excited about my team. I got excited about the double game week and look how that turned out. So, no, I'm not going to.
We mentioned it earlier on, and someone in chat mentioned about captaining a defender, but I think we've learned something this season about double game weeks.
Yeah, I think a majority of this season the double game weeks haven't been amazing, have they? Obviously the Aguero triple captaincy I did worked out purely because Aguero did a hat trick on one game. But other than that, there's not been a stand. I mean, Laporte. I guess if if you'd have gone with Laporte, then you'd have done better. But other than Laporte, there's not been a standout player that's shone through the double game weeks. I think, are they overrated, double game weeks? That's a question for everybody. Are double game weeks overrated? I don't think they are overrated. I think they obviously need to plan your team around double game weeks, but are they really going to get you that 100 point, 120 point, 130 point like previous seasons? I don't know. At the moment, it doesn't seem to show. It doesn't really seem to.
Well, it's worked for some.
Yeah, it has worked for some. Yeah, what's your thoughts, Block? Do you think double game weeks are as important as people make them?
I do think so. Like this year, probably one of my biggest mistakes was actually messing up. Like I played wild card, I believe game week 23 or something like that. I should have waited until like recently, double game weeks to play it. That's why like my week started off so well, and I went up third. After the first round of game, but then after all the double game weeks kicked in, I'm down to 15th. I think that's probably one of my biggest mistakes this year. But yeah, I think double game weeks are pretty much just as important as people say they are. Just as long as you make sure that your team isn't only good for the double game weeks, and then your team just sucks the weeks after that.
Obviously, playing it around with obviously wild card, the way it worked this season, obviously wild carding in 34, double game week 35. Setting yourself up for a double game week, and then presumably, unlike what I did, that's why I had to take the minus 16 to set my team. Then thinking post game week 35, 36 to 7, 38. Obviously now I'm hoping that those points that I spent and I've lost out on are going to slightly pay me back in future game weeks. But yeah, it's a definite point. I mean, Steve-O, you obviously your thoughts on the day of double game weeks then? I mean, you seem obviously you've had a bit of a bad experience this season with double game weeks. You probably had some good experiences in previous seasons of double game weeks, so you probably got a bittersweet sort of thought process on double game weeks.
I can barely remember this season's double game weeks, but let alone previous ones. But these certainly have been some of the worst. I find that I make the most logical, basic decisions possible doing what I do, and they just do not pay off whatsoever. Like I said earlier on, bringing in Firmino, it's logical. Done nothing since I brought him in. For players like, I don't know, John Bednarak, I get all that, but there was reasons behind it because they were just cheap fodder to be bringing in higher quality of players, like having Aguero, Son, Sterling, Eriksen and Mane as like a power 5-6 front. Yeah, in fact, power 6 front of including Firmino there, and that's just completely backfired. It just doesn't seem to matter what I seem to do. I mean, since when was it? I was looking at this. I've just been getting red arrows, it feels like, every single game week. So yeah, it's been almost like whereas Block's pattern has been something like green, red, green, red, green. Mine's been the opposite way round. And yeah, my highest point this season was as recently as, funny enough, so when Block was basically second in the world, I was 4,000. And I've just dropped 10,000 places in that time. Not by many, only like by 1,000 places over the game week here and there, but it just seems to be getting worse and worse for me. And yet there are players like you mentioned earlier, like Pete Andrews, that are just slowly catching up. And if he gets, like I said, one of his differential captain bang on, with a triple captain as well, I could be in serious danger of losing second spot. Because like I said, you've got that top spot. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to, anything I seem to do as something different, and with all logic, seems to pay off. So yeah, I don't think double game week 30. I don't think double game weeks are overrated. But what I will say is that I think we all look at rubbish teams thinking that they're going to get us like 6-7 goals, and the reality is that they're rubbish. There's a reason why they're rubbish. We overlook teams like Liverpool double defence or whatever.
Well, I think John Harris makes a good point there about never ignoring a single game week player with a good fixture. I mean, that being like I've seen Liverpool defenders, notably Trent Alexander-Arnold's obviously outscored a lot of double game week popular defenders, especially Watford, Southampton picks. if there's single game week players with great fixture, then it makes sense to keep holding them, especially with what Block was saying about fixtures coming up afterwards, especially Liverpool's fixtures being really favourable. I think if you haven't got 3 Liverpool players coming in now to game week 36, which ironically I'm going to be one of those, because obviously I've only got Trent and Mane, I will probably want to bring a third Liverpool asset in. It's just how am I going to get him in? And that's the thing.
Take another hit.
Yeah, take another hit. What's 4 more points to add to the total? But yeah, I think it's probably got to the end of the podcast. I think everyone's terms of chat. I think everyone's all kind of chilling in chat at the moment. Thank you ever so much, Block FPL, for joining us this evening and giving us your insight into your season, allowing us to get to know you a bit, your opinions on some of the questions that chat had, and look forward to having you on again, and looking forward to watching your podcasts as you navigate the remaining game weeks of the season and look to try and finish, second, maybe even first. You never know, but if aiming for second is great.
Go plug your stuff, Block, on here now. So give us your Twitter handle, your YouTube channel, etc. How people connect with you, basically.
It's just on Twitter. It's just BLOCC FPL, Block FPL, and on YouTube it's just the space between Block and FPL. But yeah, I'm going for second. If I don't get second, I'll at least hopefully I'll get number 1 in the USA, which would be cool. I don't get a prize for that.
15th.
But yeah, thanks for having me on.
15th in the world, guys. This guy knows his stuff. He's a calm, level-headed guy. He's done really well this season. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe, and Block, thank you again. And
thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. You take care.
Hello there, welcome to our Elite FPL.
Yeah. Pun where Shaw's lights were knocked out. Dan, you may want to turn on your light because you're.
Chat said that Steve-O, if you bench Alonso and he returns, you have to get a history tattoo.
Well, people in chat saying, Jack, before we move on to the Elite FPL.
First of all, my name isn't Jack. Right, okay, I'm gonna let Dan speak because it seems to be mainly me and. Go, Dan. Go ahead. What are you going to do?
It's absolutely fascinating.
Jason, try and just stop.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm.